Okie dokie, everybody. Welcome back. You're here at the Fox Den with Peter Voss, the Papa Fox, and we're going to continue playing Tyranny by Obsidian Entertainment. When we last left off, we had dealt with the enemy officer, we had leveled up, and, in general, we had stopped this latest incursion. Now, it looks like we have a dialogue option with verse, so let's pursue that.
Need to talk? I suppose I can give you a moment of my time.
Verse crosses her arms and regards you with curiosity.
What do you need?
Let's see. Bum ba 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 ba. Are you a spy for the Voices of Nerat? Verse regards you with an unreadable expression. Her mismatched eyes look at each of yours in turn. Insufficient reputation. Ooh. I mean, does it even matter? You have to decide for yourself whether or not I'm worth trusting. Is keeping me along worth the risk that I'll spill the occasional word about what you ate for breakfast? The Voices of Nerat is the Archon of Secrets, not the Archon of Honesty and Fair Dealings. If you don't assume that everybody already reports to him, you're not being careful enough. Well, tell me something about yourself.
If you insist. I'm a Scarlet Fury. That should raise some flags for you. It means that I'm good at killing, and more importantly, that I enjoy it. What I won't enjoy are the pleasures of funerary rites packed with weeping mourners. Someday I'll fall in battle, and then they'll roll me into a mass grave or heap me atop a shit-stained wagon. One more anonymous, knife-riddled piece of meat. Until then, I plan to take whatever I can from life and have a little fun along the way.
Well, tell me about your life before the chorus. Life? What life? As far as I'm concerned, I didn't exist before the chorus. There was some girl on a farm wearing my face and talking with my voice, but she wasn't me. Sometimes she would sneak out at night, take a scythe, and have some fun with the livestock. Our shared interest began and ended there. Okay, wow, that just took a turn for the gruesome. Oh boy, this is going to test my willpower when it comes to... I naturally side with whatever good option there is in a game, so this is going to be a test of my emotional and mental fortitude. When the Scarlet Corps swept through my village on their long trek from the bastard city, that was when I finally woke up. I buried my old life, took red vengeance on anyone who'd wronged me, and found the freedom I could only dream was out there. One of your parents. My mother ran a successful farm, and I worked it for a number of years before I found the chorus. She was a hard, bitter woman. Acted like the world owed her something. She never talked about my father, though I figured out a thing or two about him later on. He was a merchant from the Northern Empire who took a liking to her, and she him. He stayed around only long enough to get what he wanted. But never mind him. My mother never had what you would call taste. So he couldn't have been terribly influential to me if he did stick around. Did you ever wish you could do things over, end up somewhere other than Kyros's army? That's as naive a question as I have ever heard. Kyros is everywhere. If you aren't in the Overlord's army, you're being trampled by it. Of course, I could have labored on the family farm into my maturing years, married some dolt and littered them a nursery of squealing piglets. Having my body torn to pieces by smaller versions of me sounds like fun. Okay, that's a little harsh. I'm a dad myself, and come on. Really? Then one day I decided enough was enough. I'd slit my husband's throat over breakfast and run off to join the chorus anyway. My way saved a lot of time. The verse smooths back the feathers in her hair and shakes her head with a smile. Oof. You're a killer, better to stick with the chorus, and I gain loyalty. I think you could have given that life a chance. This is actually something I got into a conversation with my wife about, options for our future and everything. And where this conversation came in was actually much less violent. Was talking about, what degrees to pursue and everything. And normally I would say choose joy, just like from the Adventure Zone. And if this is what this person is, there are some people who are career soldiers and whatnot, but I think this is probably, I would normally say this, you should have given that life a chance, but that might not be who this person is at all. And as long as they're, in... As long as they have some restrictions on their life, as long as they're not just laying about everybody, ally and foe alike. Let's go with this. At least you understand. The chorus praises and rewards the thing inside me that I would suppress in civilized company. Life is too short to repress every desire, right? Especially if I have anything to say about it. How did you get conscripted? How did I think you have the wrong idea about me. The chorus didn't take me as a sobbing maid. I strode into their camp and enlisted. Someone tossed me a dented blade. I lived through the initiation, spent a week butchering my neighbors, and moved on with my new kin. I didn't waste time with goodbyes. My mother had long since died, and the rest of my family were louses. The girl I used to be, even she knew that she was worth more than all of them combined. What is the significance of your feathers? Insufficient reputation. No, I don't tell that story to just anyone. You'll have to butter me up before I really get I get into the really intimate details. Enough questions about your past. That suits me just fine. I'm not much for comparing family histories if I can avoid it. Tell me about your time with the Scarlet Chorus.
The Scarlet Chorus is mostly for madmen and peasants with rusty daggers, but it's also a little niche of freedom that I never had. Once I survived training and met my Scarlet Fury sisters, I saw a different side of the Howling Mob.
Tell me about your training.
For new recruits shoved to the front lines, training means surviving the first battle. Anything beyond that is for the fighters who show potential, whether as blade dancers or arcane madmen.
I wonder if their magic users are actually, a little unstable.
There's nothing in the world like getting put through the paces as a Scarlet Fury. Every day is a test of your commitment and passion. Failure means death. The first few weeks were the hardest, but also the most rewarding. I earned my name, picked up some quality weapons, and met my sisters.
Tell me about the Scarlet Furies.
The elite fighters of the Scarlet Chorus. Your typical Horde recruit fights with a rusty spoon and a chip on his shoulder, but the Scarlet Furies are, well, different. We focus our madness. We coordinate, we kill, we dance. It's like art. Imagine a sculpture that twisted in weird, beautiful angles, and then gutted you too fast for you to realize what was happening.
See, normally I'm the kind of person to try to get the most loyalty I can out of my companions. It doesn't sound wonderful to me. I get the dancing imagery and I get the art imagery, but let's try this.
Oh, fuck you then. I'm not here to dazzle you with my use of metaphor. When it comes to the Scarlet Chorus, you either get it or you don't.
Yeah. Well, there we go. You earned your name? If you think a simple farmer from the Tears would name her child Verse, I suggest you visit my old village. Most of them are walking around with surnames like Barrel or Fish. Not the most creative bunch, she smirks and shakes her head. The chorus takes your name away. Whoever you were before, you aren't that person anymore. Then you earn back a name through great deeds, usually murderous ones. That's why you see choirmen walking around with names like Stinkmouse or Face First. There's probably a good reason for that. Face check! Don't know if it's a trap? Stick your face in it. The Voices of Nerat gave me this name. When the Scarlet Chorus runs howling into battle, he doesn't hear war, he hears a symphony. And when I fight with blade or bow, he told me that my music stands out louder than anyone else's, and contains too many parts to be easily defined. When you least suspect it, the Archon of Secrets can be downright charming. Average fear. I'm going to have to look into the fear mechanic. I'm not going to ask her real name just yet. Tell me about your weapon skills. When I was just a kid, it didn't take me long to realize I was a natural. I could pick up a rusty kitchen knife and skewer a rat from across the room. The Scarlet Chorus gave me Opportunities to further educate myself. My sisters were always a bit surprised by how quickly I took to different fighting styles. She frowns for a moment and then shakes off whatever she wanted to say. Back to my questions about the Scarlet Chorus.
What do you need to know?
Before you hesitated when you brought up your fighting styles. Why? Insufficient loyalty. As if that's any of your business. If I wanted to say something, you would have heard it. Don't assume that I'm holding back. By my office as Fatebinder, you are beholden to deal with me honestly. Let's go with that. That's as starchy and literal a point as I've ever heard, but you're not wrong. Also, I like how you handled yourself there, throwing your authority around like that, like it meant something. As I mentioned before, I'm good at picking up different weapons and fighting techniques. The truth is, I'm better than good. I could slay a man so cleanly that I'd leave a single strip of skin behind. Or I could flay, there we go. He wouldn't even need to be tied down. That was one of the first things I discovered about myself after joining the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat recognized it in me as well, which is why he singled me out for Scarlet Fury training. Have you ever tried that flaying trick before? Let's just say that when we ran out of canvas for pitching tents, the Fifth Eye handed me a knife and pointed me to the prison pens. Oh, no! This is something that sounds like it would be better in place in Tooth and Tail. My sisters were masters of their fighting forms, but since they died, my style has changed, almost like I can kill as they did. I could pick up a bow, a lance, anything really. I could tear someone to pieces with a weapon that I only watched my sisters use. I don't know what it could mean, and that worries me. So basically she can, pick things up just by watching them. Who are your sisters? Who are they would be more appropriate. Three Whispers, Red Geyser, and Seeking Sheath. The best fighters I ever met. There wasn't a foe we couldn't take down together. Our fighting styles complemented perfectly, so we divided up the killing work like bards sharing a song. At least we used to. She presents a solemn salute. I know this is a lot of story and everything, but this is kind of vital. This is part of the game, and it's part of the thing. This person's going to be fighting with us, so I hope you don't mind if we do a bit of talking. So tell me about Three Whispers. She was as calm as the surface of a pond, and light on her feet. More than one foe tripped and fell on their own blade due to Whisper's crafty footwork. Verse lets her gaze slip away from you as a fleeting moment of sorrow steals her attention. Tell me about Red Geyser. A one-woman siege breaker. She would launch herself at her foes like a battering ram. Not even a disfavored phalanx could have withstood that dumb, suicidal wench. Kyros's eyes, but she was something to behold. Verse slams her fist into her palm. Tell me about Seeking Sheath. That girl could pass a spear through 12 rings from a far side of the battlefield. Kyros help any foes who approached her marching single file. She made a game of spitting as many soldiers as possible with the same javelin. What happened to them? We were scouting around Vendrian's Vale during the siege, back when we only suspected the guard of organizing in secret. My sisters and I came upon a group of them, or Kyros knows, maybe they found us. No one said anything. We drew iron and bronze. That was when everything went wrong. I was supposed to take point and occupy the guard with the dance of blade work, something disorienting while my sisters picked their marks. I hesitated. I lost my nerve. Instead of rushing the Oathbreakers, I froze with my weapon drawn. My sisters fought on without me, but they were off balance, like whatever I had was catching. They died. I lived. My sisters were relying on me to lead the dance, and I failed them. I don't necessarily know if that's caution. It sounded more like... I wish we had more options than just these two. Okay. Your actions were inexcusable for a fighter of your station. That gains me average loyalty. It's understandable. Caution stayed your hand. Let's go with this one. You're absolutely right. If I had witnessed the same in one of my sisters, I might have even killed her for endangering the rest of us. Good thing for me they didn't get the chance. She chuckles, but there's no humor in it. Hesitation is a rot. It's unbecoming of any chorus member. And unheard of in a Scarlet Fury. I would cut it from my body and cauterize the wound if only I knew its source. She grimaces and once more turns inward, contemplating. Any thoughts on the topic, or are we just here to open old wounds? Any idea why you lost your nerve in battle? I wish I had an explanation. For the first time, I lost the dance. The Song of Murder drew silent. It said there was only rigid, organized control. More questions. Back to my questions.
What do you need to know?
Who are the Scarlet Chorus leaders? Well, the Voices of Narad is the spider at the center of the web. He acts like the army belongs to him, and he only lends it to Kyros because it suits his purposes, both of which are true. The rest are all offshoots of the Voices, like the Fifth Eye. Once you get down to the rank and file, the Scarlet Chorus organize around a motley bunch of gang bosses who call the shots. What do you want to know? Tell me about the Voices. He's a madman, but that never stopped me from following his orders. Even in a legion as cutthroat as the Chorus, you know better than to get on the Voices' bad side. People who cross him, or just people he meets, don't tend to survive the experience. If he ever seems disorganized or lost, it's because he's channeling one of the personalities he's devoured over the years. His mannerisms shift over to someone else, someone who's probably long since dead. That's kind of creepy. Oh, this is Halloween, this is October, so, there we go. Better to die than become part of the Voices. What makes him so powerful? He's the Archon of Secrets, and he didn't earn that title lightly. People say that he knows more than every sage in the tiers combined, and that he can think 1,000 steps ahead of the other Archons. It would be putting it lightly to say he's never alone under that disapproving helmet of his. If you make secrets your business, I guess having people constantly whisper in your ear is a good thing. I usually want people to shut up, but to each their own. What's the Fifth Eye? A walking nightmare, that one. I couldn't begin to guess who lives under that armor and speak with that reedy voice, but I'll tell you what I know. When your world is built on secrets, it pays to have a few extra eyes. The Voices of Narad has eyes in abundance, some that he keeps close and others that he sends out into the wilderness. Whoever the Fifth Eye was before he came to the Archon service, now he's just a half-mad, jabbering speech hole. A bodily function, in other words. In other words, an eye. Wait, Narad's eyes are people? Maybe they used to be people, but whatever they were, they're eyes now. Folks like to whisper that the Voices of Narad takes his servants and cuts out all the extra parts that they don't need. Makes a quick snipping gesture with her fingers. I once heard that the Voices and the Fifth Eye in a tent together. The Voices kept screaming, "Redundancies! Redundancies!" Every time another gout of blood would spray on the canvas walls. I can't even guess what he was cutting out. Oh boy. I'm going to need a stiff drink after this, I think. Whew. How many eyes do the Archon of Secrets have? The number keeps changing, either because it grows or because rumors don't mean shit. 3, 7, 19, some even say that all of us are eyes and we don't even know it. She shakes her head in thoughtful disapproval. It's one of those questions that drives you mad if you allow yourself to think about it for too long. Hey, could you be one of Tunon's eyes? Bet you never thought about that. Back to my earlier questions. About the Scarlet Chorus. Tell me about the gang bosses. Give me just 1 second. Let's see how we're doing on time. Okay. Well, we've spent quite a lot of time chatting with Verse. A boss is anyone who can rally enough support to kill the previous boss. They claim to command until someone gets wise and stabs them in the back. Tipcap leads the Filthy Lambs. Lox lead the Rusted Harps. Sharp used to lead the Bone Boys. Couldn't say where he ended up after they broke his legs. Waterwheel orders around the Hairy Hunters. Halls for Shit leads the Lazy Mulkins. Then Scurvy Queen, Finger Food, and Wild Gash collectively lead the ladies of perpetual strangulation. That's funny. I'm forgetting at least a dozen more. I've even led a gang or two in my day. They never survived very long, so no point in getting attached. You led a gang? Don't act so surprised. I can crack a whip better than any of those daisies at the disfavored labor camp. But I was never interested in the power struggle of those grunts and scabs in the middle. I wanted to stand at the top like an apex predator. Here I am. So when I got tired of a gang, I disbanded and let the other bosses fight over the new recruits. That much amused me, at least. Some of my old mates are still alive and hanging around, wherever they ended up. Like your curiosity, let me ask about something else.
What do you need to know?
I have thoughts on your combat abilities.
Do you now? Call me intrigued. You already know that I memorized the moves of my Scarlet Fury sisters. If it seems like a total mystery to me, I don't know how you could have arrived at any conclusions, but I'm open to ideas.
Well, looks like we don't have enough here yet. I just think you're a damn good fighter.
Shucks. You know just what to tell a girl, don't you? I'll thank you to spare me the empty compliments.
Okay, back to my previous questions. Feeling indecisive, are we? Go on then. Okay, how is it that you picked up your fallen sister's weapon skills? It's been something that's been on my mind for some time, and I still don't have an explanation that fits. I have a few ideas, but... Verse frowns in deep thought. Scarlet Furies share a sort of link. It's how we coordinate our dance in the heat of battle. We don't pass messages or anything, but our emotions and intentions sync up without words. She starts whirring on one of her knives. After a moment, she sighs and slaps the blade back into its sheath. Oh, can't do any of these. Go on. The one thing I always knew was that I felt this connection more keenly than my sisters did. I could pick up nuances that they missed, and I could feel them from farther away. When my sisters died, I felt each of them getting yanked out of my brain like someone pulling snails from a garden, but some of their slime residue was still there. Does that make any sense? I would take comfort in that. Your sister live on in you. I know it's average fear, but it doesn't seem like she's the kind of person to really get comfort from that, though. I mean, this is actually really interesting for this game because it asks you to say what you think a normal person would want to hear, but this game, I think this is the major theme about the game. This game isn't supposed to be about... I'm going to try... Let's see what happens when we go on this. Your optimism is cute, Fatebinder. It's if singularly useless. I won't bring my sisters back, and it doesn't fix this thing in my head that I don't understand. No matter how you paint it, some of my sisters broke off in me when they died, and now I'm left to deal with it. Just another day in the tears, right? What are your thoughts on the disfavored? A warren of self-entitled children so wound up in delusions of honor, they're like to hang themselves by their own high standards. I wish they had stayed in the Northern Empire where they belonged. Then we could get some real work done here in the Tears. What do you think of their leader? I've seen enough of that high-minded braggart to know that he's all duty. Nothing but a charismatic, broad-shouldered scarecrow. He calls himself the Archon of War, though by the way he stalls his forces waiting for a better strategy to present itself, you'd think he's afraid of battle. You would think that someone more deserving would take Ash's mantle from him, but the disfavored have this cult of personality built around their great general. In their eyes, he can do no wrong. What about Ash's connections to his troops? Graven Ash protects. His soldiers keep harping on those words like they mean something. I don't deny that the disfavored can take a few extra lumps on the battlefield, but that only speaks to their thick-headedness. If anything, it's only true because his soldiers place that much trust in it. I've seen the power of suggestion do stranger things to people. Stranger than heal battlefield wounds? Could that be possible? We're talking about a man who's centuries old and wears glowing armor. You tell me. Who would you see in Ash's place? I would rather let the disfavored sort it out amongst themselves. Gavin Asha is this aging figurehead of what should be a constantly changing role. The right soldier needs to grow a pair and kill the old man. Kick his cane out from under him, remind the Legion what strength looks like. I don't really agree. I mean, I do see the value in switching out roles because if things stagnate, they can, blah-de-blah-de-blah, but it all depends on why you're trying to replace him and what you're replacing him with. The Voices of Nerat changes. He's a multifaceted gem, and the Scarlet Chorus is a reflection of that beauty. If someone could rise up and strike down the Voices, any one of us would follow them in a heartbeat. Do you have a better idea of how to handle disfavored forces? Of course I do. First, I'd stop babying the troops. Pain is a lesson best learned early. I'd conscript from the locals to bolster the front lines, because why waste your elite on the vanguard? Then I'd leave any misplaced ethics back in the Northern Empire. They're not helping Kyros's campaign anyway, so fuck them. You'd take away everything that makes them strong. No, I don't like this person. I mean, they're an interesting character, but no, that's what makes them strong. It's a damn fine alternative from where I'm standing. If all that strength couldn't end a siege, what good is it to anyone? Would that be so wrong? The Chorus is accountable for itself in ways that the disfavored aren't. Our weak die, and the strong fight to keep their rank. I really do not like social Darwinism, and I know this is survival of the fittest actually because it's on the battlefield, but I like how this game is setting up characters that you can either really relate to or really not. And I'm going to play this how I think the game kind of intends you to navigate, which I think is what we're doing here. The disfavored promote their waning bloodline and discipline any soldier with the audacity to show their teeth. Though they never admit it, the disfavored need the Chorus to show them the way. Back to my questions about the disfavored. If we must, do you think the disfavored have a chance to succeed in the tiers? Speaking as one of the exceptions, most of the tiersmen are pushovers. The people of Stalwart seem capable enough, though I have my doubts. You might call them the disfavored's best challenge. Even if they succeeded, it might be too late to redeem themselves. The Chorus have already impacted the conquest more than the disfavored have, or likely ever will. What are your thoughts on their strategies? They've really got something with that phalanx maneuver, a formation built on holding still, moving forward slowly, and hoping that no one slips in the mud. At best, the disfavored are tired of using the same tactic over and over again. At worst, the enemy knows what to expect out of them. So I get the sort of dichotomy they're building between the Chorus and the disfavored, but I think what's flawed in both sides, at least how it seems from Versus' description of the disfavored, is both sides are kind of unwilling to hear. I don't want to go in the whole the both sides fallacy and everything, but there are some points that is favored as well as some points to the Chorus. Though what's unique or what's helpful about both sides is probably not unique to both. It's not like, oh, the disfavored are the only ones who have this good idea. There we go. Scarlet Furies are dancers. We hear the music of battle and organize ourselves into works of killing art. Every fight is as hot and passionate as the last, with no room for stale routine. Something else? What do you think of those who defy Kyros's authority? The tiersmen can either fight or submit to Kyros's peace, and only one of those options captures my interest. I suppose I appreciate it when they go down fighting. If they did otherwise, I would need to find another excuse to flay them. They need to understand, whether we unify the tiers under a shared banner or at the bottom of a mass grave makes little difference to you, me, or Kyros. Actually, it makes a lot of difference to me. That's an interesting view of conquest. It's a pragmatic one, anyway. Scarlet Chorus caught onto the idea at the beginning of the campaign. If no one objects that we're here to carve a bloody path for gain and amusement, then by all accounts, that is our purpose. Besides, unification is such a vague concept that Kyros allows the disfavored and the Chorus to interpret it as they will. The Overlord is concerned with results. I'm happy to focus on the details, especially if that means cutting off a farmer's legs while his family watches and their lands burn. That's disgusting. If you understood how a Scarlet Fury makes art out of death, you might not think so. Keep an open mind. You might enjoy the things I show you. Your words don't faze her in the slightest. She only nods, a suspicion confirmed. Raspberries. Did you fight in any notable battles? I spent some time in Azure toward the end of the war. Beastmen ripped my unit apart. We thought they might be working under Karen's orders, but we never found out for sure. Let's change the subject. You learned a thing or two about fighting in the Scarlet Cool. I don't want a duel. Okay. Holy moly, that was a lot of talking. Whew. I am sorry that took so long. Okay. Let's actually... I'm going to call the episode here because we already actually used up all of our time. I know we didn't get a whole lot of progress, but, you know, if you want to skip this episode and go right on to the next one, that's also perfectly fine. It's great to see you all here at the Fox Den. I hope you come back and pull up a chair next time for some more Tyranny. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, or go ahead and give me some feedback. Maybe even subscribe to the channel if you like my other videos. Alrighty, it's great to see you all. Hope you have a good time. Take care. Bye.